Now, I don't know if you've noticed or not, but something strange seems to be going on with the big man himself, Gigantomachia. Back when Hawks met with some of the Paranormal Liberation Front's key members, we were able to catch a glimpse at Machia once again, but this time around, he was a little different. And this looks to be a definite design change for him based on the fact that when Hawks pictured the New World Order to be established by Shigaraki and his followers, we once again see this new look for Gigantomachia. Now, mind you, both of these shots are incredibly vague and small, but I am under the impression that Horikoshi is teasing us on purpose, because with our first look at Shigaraki incubating in the doctor's lab, he too sports a notable, albeit vague, new look. One that to me seems to bear similarities to that of the aforementioned Gigantomachia. Now, to be fair, before this point, Gigantomachia was pretty much just roaming around butt-ass naked, so the thought of them attempting to civilize him by giving him some pants isn't too hard to believe, especially when considering that with the support of Durant, the manufacture of suitable clothing despite his large stature wouldn't be much of an issue. But I can't help but believe that there is more to this. Right now, Shigaraki is in the process of being remodeled in order to inherit even more power. And so with such a similar look, Horikoshi may very well be alluding to something similar in the case of Gigantomachia, which would be insane and beyond overkill. Gigantomachia is a powerhouse the likes of which we have never seen before, with the exception of a few top dogs like All For One and All Might. I mean, come on, this guy took on the entirety of the League of Villains for a month and a half, only taking a break for 3 hours every 2 or so days. He wiped the floor with the Liberation Army without even trying, and he used to hunt down reputable heroes for All For One all the time. The term monster doesn't even begin to describe this guy. His body is so unbelievably durable that according to the doctor, and I quote, he could handle multiple quirks even without getting remodeled first. And to be honest with you, I am not the biggest fan of this description, simply because the word could is one that could go either way. It's unclear as to whether or not the doctor is saying he could as in he has yet to do so, or he could as in that has already happened to him and he already withstood that. And I mean, with how devastatingly powerful Machia stands to be, it's pretty easy to conclude that he must have multiple quirks, but even that isn't definitive. Really, the only thing about him that you could indisputably attribute to a quirk would be the fact that his body grows in battle. He certainly has an incredible sense of smell and hearing, and his body is rugged and innately large, but in a world where characters can literally be manga panels or talking birds with teeth, is this really the strangest thing that we've seen thus far? And if anything, I feel like Machia being bare bones and just having his one natural quirk would be even more of a flex in of itself and just be really impressive. And to be clear, I'm not doubting that his senses are superhuman, they certainly are. I'm just saying that we can't say for sure as to whether or not they're included in his quirk's capabilities because we don't know what his quirk actually is just yet. Now, considering Shigaraki is now intent on hitting Hero Society with everything he has and no longer underestimating them, I wouldn't be surprised if he gave the order for Gigantomachia to be improved upon. And I assume it wouldn't take very long considering he wouldn't need to be remodeled first. And more than just putting some pants on him and doing whatever is going on with his arms, the man has pins in his head. He looks like Frankenstein's monster. So either this is Machia trying to cosplay as Pain, or this is their attempt to bring the heroes even more pain by turning their giant into a titan. And with that in mind, I can only imagine that the quirks they decided to give this man would be supplementary in nature, or just as straightforward as possible because there's not really any time for him to figure out any complex quirks, and I doubt he could even do that. He doesn't seem to have the mental capacity with that sort of complex thought. And now, while we're on the topic of Gigantomachia, I guess I should express my belief that he will be the get out of jail free card for the Doctor and Shigaraki. With John-chan getting crushed like a bag of chips, the Doctor is kinda cornered, and I mean, he certainly has a ton of high tier Nomu at his disposal here, but I'd argue that because his first instinct was to flee with Shigaraki, that they're not exactly ideal right now for one reason or another. But I guess maybe out of sheer anger due to his life's work being desecrated in an instant, he'll be as bold as to let them loose, but regardless, he is currently in a bind. Pretty much any potential reinforcements he could hope to rely upon all seem to be surrounded by the heroes right now, so getting to him would be tough. But although the vanguard teams of villains have all been accounted for, as it turns out, Gigantomachia wasn't included on any of those teams. And remember, Gigantomachia was once the bodyguard of All for One, and so it's not hard to imagine that he would be doing the same for his new master, Shigaraki, in his time of vulnerability. Now, mind you, distance is hardly a problem here because Machia's sense of smell is immaculate. This man was able to sniff out and locate Shigaraki despite he himself being in a forest, whereas Shigaraki was in a rather populated city. And he got there in no time, so that's pretty ridiculous. So yeah, one way or another, Gigantomachia is definitely a character for us to look out for. But even then, I gotta keep it a buck with you guys. Like, ever since Machia appeared in the anime, my interest in him has waned. And my reasoning for this is very superficial, but his color palette is just very bland. It's super boring and it's not what I expected at all. I mean, he's kinda just big and it just looks kinda boring, I don't know. But maybe this new look of his will make up for that. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about Gigantomachia and the potential of him amassing even more power. And also, am I the only one who thinks he looks kinda boring in the anime, despite him of course being this big hulking monster? But speaking of monsters, you guys are crazy. The amount of support you have shown us is incredible and we cannot thank you enough. The only way we can think to thank you is by providing you even more amazing content. So if you are looking for even more of some of the greatest My Hero Academia content on the platform, Plot Armor has you covered. As always, I am Slice of Otaku. Thank you all so much for watching and have an awesome day. I love you.